Today I'm answering the question, what's a favorite story I have from a permaculture site? So this story starts with me being very interested in Sepp Holzer and his approach to permaculture. And Zach Weiss brought him over to Montana, I think 2012, 2013. And I went down and I was so taken by Sepp's approach and his conversations about hugelkultur, which is burying decomposing wood and then growing food on top of it with these amazing large mounds that are 2 meters, 6 feet tall, that the following year I went to Austria with Zach and a number of others and went to the Kramerterhof, Sepp's premier farm, as well as the Holzerhof, his secondary farm where he now lives, and really learnt deeply about his approach and his conversation. When I came back to Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, I really wanted to apply what I knew. And my roommate, who was also my landlord, was keen. And so we got together a group of people, and in just under a day, we put together this hugelkultur that was out front in the front yard. And I designed it in such a way that it would block the neighbor's big light that was coming towards my bedroom window, because I was sleeping in the front. It was in one of the bedrooms there. And we did this in such a way that we also had these uprights. So we had these vertical pieces of wood that could allow for peas and beans and all these climbers to come up it. And we designed it in such a way so that way it would attract a lot of attention. One of the funny things that we found out with the hugelkultur is that you don't need to have a big bump in the road to slow people down. You can just have 6 foot high plus another 4 or 5 feet of vegetation that slows people down. And so people would stop and say hello, and people would say, "What's that?" And it would really bring about a big community conversation in the neighborhood we lived in. And one of the things that's interesting about hugelkultur is that there's been a bit of pushback. People think that hugelkultur locks up nitrogen as it's decomposing. And the science that's been done on the hugelkulturs at the Kramerterhof over the years by a number of German scientists and also graduate and PhD students out of Germany has shown that it doesn't lock up nitrogen, in the same way that if it locked up nitrogen, then forests likely wouldn't regenerate. When a tree fell over and became a nurse log, that would be a problem. So again, thinking, if it happens in nature, probably we can use it in some way, shape, or form if we're intelligent enough to see the actual principles at play. But that's actually quite true that hugelkulturs will lock up nitrogen if it's done with wood chips, which is definitely not advisable. So anyways, we designed the hugelkultur. It's up, it's doing its thing. And one Friday night, as I was sitting reading permaculture books, but our neighborhood is very rowdy. It's a young neighborhood. There's lots of partying, lots of drinking. And this gaggle of girls were coming down the road, and I could hear them. And I could hear them bemoaning that they really had to pee, but they couldn't find a place to do it. And I heard one of them spot the hugelkultur, like, "What's that? That's perfect." And I had to giggle to myself that at the end of the day, this hugelkultur, regardless of the conversation about the fact that it doesn't lock up nitrogen or make it issue, it actually attracted nitrogen from the community. The last story about that hugelkultur, and there's lots about it, but there was this little boy, Jameson, who would come by with his preschool group or daycare group. They were all walking together, and he would just be in awe of the hugelkultur. He'd be like, "Oh my God, it's so amazing. And look at the pumpkins, and that's a great pumpkin." And one day when we were out there, Jameson came by. He goes, is this your garden? It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Is that your pumpkin?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That's a real nice pumpkin." I said, "Okay, well, what's your name?" He goes, "Jameson." I said, "Jameson, do you want that pumpkin?" He goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, that pumpkin's yours. And if you want it, bring your mom by one day. We'll talk about it, and we'll make sure that we give it to you when it's ripe, because it's not quite ready." So over the next couple of weeks, and I think it was like another month before the pumpkin was ready, Jameson would come by, and he would just be so stoked about this pumpkin. And he would bring by friends, and the mom would bring by family. And it was just this wonderful opportunity that permaculture does, because it's a better story to tell, and it brings about this collective conversation, this ancestral memory that we all grew or harvested or hunted for, gathered for our own food. And it brought Jameson to our front yard, and it brought a lot of other great people. So that's one of my favorite stories, because it really shows the power that permaculture has to bring people together and to grow food at the same time, and just to make a better future. Thanks for listening.